calling, do you guys provide the list to us, or do we use it from our own platforms?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You'd use our list. I mean, well, two things. Like the way I'm definitely looking for help now is I've got a list. Oh man, I didn't even cover that. That was one thing I wanted to mention. So one of the lists that we hit a lot is an inherited data list, right? So these are people that have inherited a property, and these are people that really a lot of times they need help, right? They may have inherited the property and they live in Indiana and they got a property, their aunt or somebody that they inherited their properties in Wyoming. They don't want to go to Wyoming. They don't know how to sell this, right? So those are some good leads that we get. And that's one list that our cold caller hits every single month. Every single day we're working that list. So yeah, to answer your question, we would provide the data and the lists. And actually we have our own platform. It's really cool. We use it's an app called Phone Burner. So I should have told more of the mechanics of this. I'll just do it in 30 seconds. So what we do is we get a list of motivated leads. We upload into Phone Burner, and then we work them through Phone Burner. And the beauty of Phone Burner is you just turn that thing on, and it just starts going. They call it a power dialer. So it just starts calling people. And if that person doesn't answer, it moves to the next one. And if he doesn't answer, it just keeps going down until somebody answers. And you can like send automatic emails or automatic voicemails to the people who don't pick up. So literally, you're just hammering down through this, and you can call a lot of people and get on the phone more. Because if you're trying to manually do this, you're going to spend a lot of time just trying to get a hold of somebody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. All right, take it away, Tom.
Hey Casey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Freezing up here, but good.
That's what I heard. I heard.
35 below, so with wind chill, so it's cold.
How much?
35, 40 below with wind chill.
Whew.
So staying inside.
All right.
So my situation's changed from the last time we talked about this deal. So just a brief recap for everyone on the call. I have basically a family member, a cousin, that had a townhouse we were wanting to buy. And I can't remember if I updated you on this, Casey, but we thought we could get a good deal. She had a water claim, a bathtub overflowed, caused some damage in the property from the second floor to the first floor. She moved away, wasn't doing anything with the property. I thought I could get in there and I was going to handle all the repairs and get a pretty good deal on the property. And then we were looking at some creative finance for how to purchase that to make it work best for us. In the midst of me not pulling the trigger quick enough on that, which is a good lesson for people, is man, sometimes you just got to move quick in real estate, and I didn't. This was last winter. She didn't have her heat on in her house and froze the pipes, flooded it. Whole thing's been gutted and remodeled, and they just finished with the entire remodel on it. So some of my value that I was hoping to have in this deal has gone away because it's been completely redone by a contractor. So it's a fully renovated 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,200 square foot townhouse. And I'm looking to still buy it. I can still get it at a pretty good deal. The one across the street, so for comparables, a neighboring unit that's almost identical, except for it's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. This is a 2-bed, 1.5 bath. But this has a huge master. And so instead of having 3 smaller rooms, it has one giant master. That one last year was the closest comp it sold for $265. So this one with its setup, it's probably in that ballpark, pretty close in the 265, and I'm just going to keep it at that number for now. Maybe it's a little more, but using 265 is what it's probably worth. And the deal right now I have kind of is, she's willing currently to get it to me at 220. So still a pretty darn good deal. I think I probably lost about $40,000 in what I could have got it for before the rehab, but still looking pretty good on that. Part of the deal, tricky deal, is with the owner financing and creative financing we talked about previously on it, is just trying to figure out down payment and stuff and how we want to purchase the property. I don't want to use the 45, call it 1,000 we would need on down payment out of pocket right now. And so how can we come up with that? I also have another townhouse property that we may sell now, and that's where I wanted to get some insight on this. So we're considering selling our other townhouse to purchase this one, with the idea of when we sell that one, buy this one. I plan on building a shop on my property. And next year, and included in that, we'd put a basically a mother-in-law suite. So we would have another rental on our property plus this town we're purchasing. We'll just focus on the townhouse for now, but that's kind of the long-term plan, is maybe sell one, buy one, with the intent of building a shop plus another kind of a studio apartment in the shop next year, for a second property income property there. So that's what we're looking at. Um, it's kind of hard for me to let that other one go. We owe my mortgage on the other one's $96,000, and we short term rent it, do pretty decent on it. We're not killing it on it, but we do good on it. So I'd be letting that go to basically make right around on that one. We'll make, after everything's said and done, right at about $100,000 on it, cash that I'd be able to then put into my down payment on this, as well as a portion of that shop and studio apartment at my own house next year. And so that's kind of what we're looking at, and trying to make sure if I can make this thing work for us cash flow wise, and if that's kind of the smart idea, or maybe if you had a different idea on that, if I should try and keep my current one that's, I bought it 6 years ago at a good price and it's got a good interest rate, and should I just keep that thing and try to figure a different way out to purchase this one to make it work. So
Love it. Oh, this is my jam. Talking like keeping assets, getting creative on the fine. Because the thing we didn't talk about the front half of the call is like, or yeah, I mean we did a little bit, but well, it's like getting creative in how you finance properties outside of the seller just carrying it, right? There's other ways you can use investors or partners or whoever it might be. I've been taking a bunch of notes here, but Tom, what would the month? So what are the kind of rough terms that you've talked about? Is the one you're going to buy that had the flooding issues? It's now good to go. How much are they still open to, like, you paying a down payment and them carrying the rest?
No, not anymore. I don't believe that's going to happen. That was originally what we were going to do, but she got married and is wanting to build a house up in Montana, and she needs it cleared off of her name so that they can get their loan for new construction up there. Wanting to get rid of it. So yeah, everything in this deal, there was a really good deal there, and kind of everything changed on us. So yeah, we're pretty much going to have to buy this thing outright, I believe. It's a oh shoot, what is that? The is it not? Yeah, WCDA loan. Here.
Oh, they have a WCDA loan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So be assumable if it was a primary residence. If I was single, this deal would be sweet. But I can't, as an investment property, I don't believe my understanding is I can't assume that type of loan.
Yeah. Okay. So that's funny you bring that up, Tom, is WCDA. So for you guys in outside of the state of Wyoming, one of the biggest, like probably biggest thing with creative finance or sub two is the note getting called, right? And everybody's like, the lender's never going to call it, which in general they won't, except for this lender in Wyoming called WCDA, right? I've been told by multiple title companies that they literally do title searches, and if they see that a property was they're basically not following their loan terms, they will go and foreclose and make your life miserable, right? So it's not to scare people away, because I spend half my battle when I'm talking to sellers trying to convince them that, hey, the due on sale is a low risk and we can mitigate it. But WCDA is one where, yeah, typically I'll either go contract for deed, or I'll sometimes do a lease to own with WCDA. That way, you just got to be careful. You can't really file anything, because if you go file it with the county, you're risking them seeing it. I guess if you do it, you just got to be prepared to pay that thing off. There is a substantial risk that it does get called. We can go into due on sale, but basically due on sale means the lender could say, hey, you changed the deed, you sold it to somebody else, didn't pay us off, now we're going to foreclose and make you pay it back. But guys, at the end of the day, they have to foreclose, and that's a process. And at any point during that foreclosure, you could pay them off and get them out, right? So you could still mitigate that risk. But anyway, Tom, yeah, I was going to say, trying to get them to carry back. Oh, you know what you could do, though? Oh, but the carry back. Yeah, what if, have you explored this option where they do, okay, I guess here's the first question, and it comes back to the beginning of this call. Based on, Tom, when they sell it to you at 220, Ooh, and this could work if you inflate it a little bit. But say they sell it for 220 um, to you. Do they need how do they need all that equity to go to the next house, or is there a chunk of it they could leave in there
Um,
on a seller carry?
I guess I'm not sure. I haven't asked her that. I'm assuming she came up with that price based on what she was needing, kind of. So I believe she paid right at 180 for it 3 years ago. So I'm thinking that 220 is probably get her enough money for a down payment on their new house is what I'm kind of guessing on that. But I can do some more diving in on that to see.
Yeah, you could even, but she would sell it to you. Another thing is okay. Another thing is a seller credit, right? And if you're using a small bank, I've gotten really creative with this. This one could be a little tricky, but I've done it multiple times where I will inflate the purchase price by 220. Let's say you make it, you're at 200, right? Is what they want? Or 220. Okay, 220. So mark it up to 230 and or you just can't get I've even tried to mark it up to 240 and say $20,000 credit at closing to where sometimes you could turn around and put that into your down payment. You got to have the right small bank to do that though, because a lot of small banks, and also if it's like a secondary market loan, I think you can credit up to 3% of the purchase price maybe. I got to look at the rules, but if you're going with a small local bank, sometimes if you have a good enough deal, they'll let. I've done it that way to where the seller credits it back and it can go to your down payment. Does that make sense? You basically just inflate the price. The key is the house has got to appraise, right? But if you're buying a house you're buying under market, then it's like, well, what do they care if because your lender is going to loan based off of your purchase contract, right? If they lend off at 240 and they give you 80% of that, it could. You see what I mean? It'll actually.
Yeah. Yep. You can do that on invest. So I talked to a banker the other day, friend that she just opened her own mortgage company up. And she seems I think she's pretty creative, but I can check around. She was talking about that, but that it had to be a primary residence to do that too. For them to credit that back, it would have to be my primary residence. Is that not?
Yeah, I would almost. Yeah, I don't. That shouldn't make a difference. And I would almost where I have had better experience. I think it'd be a good point. If you want it to be a significant amount, I would just say that. And I don't know if it's going to work on this deal, but like I've worked with small banks that I get a relationship with where I was buying it at a big discount, and I basically inflated the purchase price. And I say inflated that I just was closer to market value, and then I gave myself a credit on the equity on the back end.
Right.
I don't know. Every bank's different, right? And they all look at it different. Some of them are like, no, we're going off of the purchase price, and they always subtract off. They're like, hey, I'm running your loan off the purchase price minus the concessions. But
Gotcha. So you're basically on that. It'd be, hey, we're buying it at 240, but they're going to credit us 20 back. So 20 would go toward my down payment. I'd only owe 24,000 down payment at that point.
bingo, yeah, that's worth a shot. That one's not as simple and not as easy. It depends on the bank.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
but
bankers,
what
I
do you
can.
think too? Here's an easier one. Like, do you have friends and family or anyone who would do a second on the one you got that's cash flowing well because you've got good equity. Sounds like you're like 50% loan to value on that, right?
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah.
Or so that's what I would do all day, and I don't think enough people don't do this, and because a lot of people think you got to go get a private money loan on a first position, but I found a lot of private money lenders, some actually prefer this because that's a stable asset, it's cash flowing. Like to me that's an easier pitch to go and say, hey, I'm going to give you a second loan on my investment property that I put all my blood, sweat, and tears in to make this cash flow, so I'm not going to give up on it. And if I didn't pay you, you take back this awesome asset. So anyway, it's a really good way to secure it. And even if you got to go give up 12% on it, I think if I were you, I'm still going to keep some cash flow, right? And allows you to get into a second property.
Yeah. So I'd be like, how long do you typically get on that on a second like that?
Say it again. Sorry.
What kind of term? Would they be a
Oh.
10-year on it, or would they be 5-year? What do you typically see on that?
Yeah. I mean, the beauty is whatever works for them, but I would want to go, yeah, the longer the better, but
Yeah.
2 to 5 years. I mean, it depends on your plan too, right? Like maybe, yeah, I mean, if it's a shorter term thing where, because I guess long story short is I wouldn't sell that asset, man. You got a good one at a good rate. There's somebody who will lend, even if you got to buy. Yeah, I think there's people out there who would do it for a year, definitely, or 2 years, and give you some runway,
Yeah.
you know, or even enough runway to where then, I mean, even if they give you a 2 year runway, in 2 years, you should at some point in those 2 years, rates should drop enough that you can refi both of them, and they'll both have value there, especially in
Yeah.
Sheridan.
Better, would that be better than HELOCing it, that property, or
Yeah. Oh, and is it your primary or?
no? That's my secondary there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about HELOC. Yeah, HELOCing is even better.
Okay.
Okay. If especially if you can get, we had that conversation shared at that meetup. If you can get a bank who will go behind it, or the best way is to go to the same bank and see if they'll do a HELOC. What you don't want to do is mess with your first loan. You want to keep that in place.
Hmm.
Have you had any conversations to see a bank that would do second position HELOC?
Yeah. If I talked to the same bank and they would, I should pull that
No,
down.
nice.
I might have an email about that maybe. I
That's
did.
your best option.
Yeah. There they are. Yeah, they would do. Yeah, they would do, and this was a few months ago. Rates might have changed, but yeah, they were willing to do up to 75,000 on that one, at 7.6%, but that might have on a 10-year term
Yeah.
on a second, and then yeah, kind of they do a HELOC as well.
Yep.
So
That's what I would do. I mean, yeah, and again, it's especially the HELOC is beautiful. Then now you could pay that thing. That's the holy grail, man, because you could pay that thing up and down as you need it, as you make more money or as you sell other assets or whatever. You can pay it off, and yeah, it's total flexibility. And man, those are good ones to where you can really grow with. Like you probably have heard a lot of people talk, but like a lot of people have really grown a lot of people can blow their portfolio up when they start paying these properties down, like you have, and they build these big lines of credit and then you're just using that line of credit to go buy properties for cash.
okay. So my only hesitancy concern with all of that is this is maybe where I'm too risk adverse, when looking at properties sometimes is just on my cash flow then going into the new one. If I'm at 220 with my down payment and everything, I'm going to be expenses. I'm going to be about 1850 a month, 1800 to 1900 a month on all my expenses and everything, before doing a HELOC or anything. Uh, Probably have to look at short-term renting it, which we do on our other one, which I think can then make it. But to keep cash flow, that just gets a little bit probably pretty tight. But maybe with both of them between the two, then we're with that HELOC. I'm probably breaking even on the numbers I have. Do you have? I was looking at 2250 a month on a short-term rental on that. Do you think that's too modest, or is that about